This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's episode number... Can you believe it's like episode number 8, Nick?
Yeah, it's like, wow, time does fly.
Time really does fly. It just feels like yesterday we were starting this up. I really cannot believe it's already 8 episodes.
But 8 episodes it is.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah.
So, Nick, do you remember last week we said this week there was going to be no football? Our top story was going to be... my phone goes off. Our top story was going to be the baseball preview. We were going to start with that.
We had everything planned, folks.
And then I have a theory. Do you want to hear my theory, Nick?
What is your theory? Go ahead.
Okay, my theory is that Darrelle Revis listens to our podcast, despite us two being Giants fans.
Yeah.
And he heard that we were going to not talk any football this week. He's like, oh, I can't have that. And he decided to do something stupid. And so here we are. He's the top story of this week.
Yeah, yes it is. And I got to tell you, man, it is the jetsiest thing I've heard in a long time. Because there's a certain... It's become a verb, or it's become an adjective. It's jetsy. If something is horribly distracting and stupid to the point of absolute brain-bending absurdity, that's, I guess, the textbook definition of jetsy. And it has nothing to do with the sport you're actually involved in.
No. If you look up the phrase bad luck in the dictionary, the Jets logo is right there.
Yeah, it is.
For those of you who don't know what we've been talking about, for those of you who have been under the rock for the past 24 to 48 hours.
Which I wouldn't blame you. I mean, football season's over and you Jets fans just want to isolate themselves. I don't want to have to think about this team.
Well, guess what? You Jets fans are going to have to think about this team because New York Jets cornerback Darrelle Revis has now officially been charged with 4 first-degree felonies.
And here's how this little fracas started, let's say. So we got the news yesterday afternoon saying that he had been injured during an altercation in Philadelphia, which is intriguing yet vague. And then But you never know. You give the benefit of the doubt. So naturally my thought process went to, okay, he slipped in the shower and broke his leg, or he, fell down a manhole cover and cracked his skull open.
Something bad happened to him, essentially. But yeah, nothing like this.
Yeah, that sounds jetsy enough to be stupid, yet also serious.
Right. And then we come to find out, late Thursday night into Friday morning, Revis is charged with 2 felony counts of aggravated assault, 1 felony count of robbery, 1 felony count of conspiracy, aggravated assault, 1 misdemeanor count of terroristic threats.
Which was the intriguing charge.
Right. Well, here's the story. Supposedly, it was these... I'm trying to, combine my research of, an official source, like The Score, plus what it says on Wikipedia in his personal life section now.
Yeah, because we need to refer to that now. Right,
but we need to refer to everything in this. Revis was involved. This is taken from the Wikipedia. Revis was involved in a street brawl near his hometown of Pittsburgh. That's why he's in Pittsburgh, because that's where he lives. It occurred around 2:43 a.m. on. It appears to be on Thursday morning. It seems. Revis was suspected to have attacked 2 men, knocking them unconscious. 1 follower attempted to record Revis on a cell phone. Revis took the cell phone, threw it out into the street, and then later on the charges happened.
Yes, and supposedly, these four random people, these group of four people, managed to catch up to randomly run into Revis in the street. Him and his bodyguards, posse, friends, whatever you want to call it.
Something.
Yeah, and they managed to. They say, "Are you Darrelle Revis? Nice clothes." He said, "Thank you," and they kept on walking.
Right.
But then the group of people followed him and were recording him on a phone.
Here's my thing. You can talk about how jetsy this is. You can talk about, how Darrelle Revis shouldn't have done what he did, and he shouldn't have. If you are a fan and you are just following and stalking these athletes around, I'm sorry, you deserve to be punched in the face.
Yeah. I'd have to kind of agree with you there, but you really.
Well, maybe not as far as Revis went, but still, you're a dick. I'm sorry.
Well, you can resolve that situation without having to punch somebody in the fucking face.
Right, but I mean, this isn't just Darrelle Revis. This is a sports-wide thing. This is a sports entertainment-wide thing. There was an incident last month with Randy Orton of WWE, where some guy, he was working out at a gym, and some guy was snapping photos of him.
And he flipped out and broke it, or he flipped out and broke the person?
No, he just flipped out, and fortunately, the confrontation was resolved without having to go to blows. But still, my point is there's manners of being a fan. There's a code of conduct you have to follow, because then there's also being a dick.
Yeah, because there's a fine line between fan, dick, and there's another side to this, which is stalker.
Stalker, right. But, I mean, this is not good for Revis Island.
It's just poor decision-making across the board for not only for Revis, because you don't want to resolve a situation by punching somebody in a fucking somebody in the face, like I said before.
Right.
But, I mean, imagine how... I can imagine the Jets brass freaking out. Absolutely freaking out.
Well, here's the big question as everyone is thinking about is...
What are they going to do now?
Right. Well, not just that, but can they do anything about it? Because the other big question that's going around with all the beat writers is Darrelle Revis going to face jail time now? Because these are felonies. These are misdemeanors. These are felonies. First-degree ones, mind you that.
And there's usually no wiggling around it. I mean, when Plaxico Burress was arrested, was it a misdemeanor?
Hang on.
Because I think weapons charges are fall under a different category.
Yeah. Let me look that up.
We need to get a lawyer on this show. See if we could ask him what to do, because my knowledge of the legal system is lacking.
I know. I just can't remember it, because I remember it happening, but, let's see, it was criminal possession of a handgun.
But still, the point is that he could face jail time, and not good. Not good at all.
Burress posted $100,000 bail. He was suspended without pay for the remaining 4 games of the 2008 regular season. And he did have... Oh, here it is. New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg, at the time New York Mayor, said that any punishment short of the minimum 3.5 years for unlawful carrying of a handgun would be a mockery of the law. Burress had an expired concealed carry license from Florida, no New York license.
Of course. I still get mad over that. The bile duct in my gut rises every time I hear those words. Oh, that man and the pain he caused. You know what? And you know what? I'd imagine that a lot of Jets fans are feeling the same thing. It's not like Revis was. I mean, the Giants were coming off a Super Bowl and they were and Plaxico was a big part of that. Revis, however,
his career's in decline.
Yes. So I'm wondering if the the sentiment is, should they just cut their losses and cut his ass?
Yes. My opinion is yes. If this were a rising player, you might have second thoughts. This is someone who, let's face it, he was a Jet. He went to the rival Patriots, came back home when he's in his career is in a slump and a decline. And who's going to touch him after this? Especially if he does face jail time. Who's going to touch him in the NFL?
And like you said, if he was skilled, this would be a different conversation. Or if he was, a player on the rise, let's say, or if he was still in his prime, then you could say, yeah, you have real trepidations about cutting him. But
if this was Giants references aside, but if this was an OBJ, a Sterling Shepard, a Jared Goff, anybody who was on the rise, essentially, you would have second thoughts about this. But if someone who's an aging player who, does something like this after how many years in the NFL, you got to cut your losses somewhere.
You do, and it's difficult to say because I know how much he's meant to a lot of Jets fandom. I mean, I make fun of the Jets, but they're still a New York team, so
right.
The cap must be tipped at a certain point. But I really don't see the point in keeping him around anymore, especially since you're paying him that much money.
All right, Nick, so final word on this subject matter. I guess, is that your final word on this subject matter? Time to cut your losses?
Yeah, I would have to say time to cut your losses.
I will agree with you on that, but I will also throw on the add-on that you fans who follow them and any of you fans who, follow celebrities, athletes to the point of pure stalking them, I'm sorry. You guys are dicks. Stop it. For real. Nick, we should also give a shout out to Kimberly Martin, the Newsday Jets beat writer.
We met her a day ahead of the shitstorm. So I would have.
Did you see what she posted on Twitter?
What was it?
Yeah, she apparently was talking to high school students when the news broke.
Oh, really?
She was talking to high school students when the news broke. She's asked how many of them did I just scare away from the industry?
It is, you know what it is, and for those of you who don't know, Kimberly Martin is the beat writer for the Jets for Newsday, and she met with us at Professor Jamie Stewart's class, and she's awesome. So that's it's really great to hear from her, but. I really would have loved to have seen her yesterday when all this shit was breaking because this woman lives on her phone, and I would love to have seen every 5 seconds.
I was wondering what would have happened if this was in our class. I mean, it would have been a good lesson, but I would feel so terrible for her.
I would too. I already do.
Yeah, same. I already do.
The fact that she, this woman engaged us as much as she could, but she was every 5 minutes she was practically every 5 seconds, she's looking at her phone because her editors keep texting her and doing all these things.
If her phone blew up that bad, like it was in class, oh God, I could only imagine what it was like blowing up when the Revis stuff was going on.
She probably would have had to step out. She probably would have had to say, you know what? It's wonderful to meet you guys, but this is important, and I wouldn't have blamed her.
Right.
Because that's really the life of a beat reporter. That's the profession that we've chosen to learn about.
We chose it to do it ourselves, and now this is the price we pay. But it's a good price.
Yeah, it's worth it. If you love what you do, it's worth it.
All right, we're going to move on from football. Let's talk about what we plan to be the real story of the day. It's time to kick off our MLB preview.
Baseball is back. Hooray!
Baseball is back, and for my internship, I actually had to come up with a playlist of walk-up music. So cheap plug there.
That's fun.
Yeah, I just created an ultimate playlist on Spotify and embedded it. It was 90 songs. I took things from everywhere. I took classic rock. I took modern hip hop. I took pop music. I took country music. Anything that I could find, is in there.
Wow. That's cool, actually. What did I get to do that?
Yeah. Nick, if you had to pick a walk-up song, what would your walk-up song be?
What would my walk-up song be? Probably would be something from Black Sabbath or Led Zeppelin.
Oh, okay. I like that. Probably mine would be something from AC/DC if I'm feeling classic rock, or something. If I'm feeling modern rock, I'm probably picking Skillet.
Yeah. Or you could do, I don't know if hardcore punk is a little bit too fast, but, you could do like No Means No or Off. That would work. But
I was going to say, I put a Day to Remember. I think I put a Day to Remember song on my playlist. Or if not, then there you go. For those who want a heavy metal song.
As long as you ain't putting Fallout Boy, I'm fine with that.
All right, Nick. Let's see. We're going to start with the NL East, correct?
Yes, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do division by division every week, and we will start with the NL East today. And
we're going to start the NL East. We're going to make our way westward. Then we're going to go to the American League. We're going to make our way from the west back to the east.
Yes, of course, we're going to end on the AL East because we're shameless homers, but that's neither here nor there. But what team inside the NL East should we begin with?
Do we start with the team that has made the most off-season moves out of all the NL East teams thus far?
Let's go.
Maybe, I'm not sure if it's the most in terms, because you got to count like re-signings or free agents and trades and all that shit. But the Atlanta Braves, what kind of offseason have they had?
My. And I can't say for a fact that they shored up the pitching staff because they did sign, for those of you who don't know, they signed R.A. Dickey and they signed Bart Colon. Yes, Bartolo Colon is now a member of the Atlanta Braves, and boy, is that shit going to be funny.
Don't forget, they've also signed. They also didn't they trade for Jamie Garcia too?
For Jaime Garcia, I think they did.
December 1st trade acquisition of Jamie Garcia, sending John Gant and 2 minor league prospects to the Cardinals. Oh yeah, they have Jamie Garcia as well. So Garcia, Colon, and R.A. Dickey. My God, those are 3 good starters.
R.A. Dickey, because when he was with the Blue Jays, the Yankees hammered him, but,
Right. Dickey and Colon maybe could be better, but they're still big names. They're still good when they're good. And they furthermore increased their team when they acquired Brandon Phillips. Was it like last week?
Yeah, last week from the Reds. It's like... Although, can Brandon Phillips still play? I'm sure Reds fans would have an opinion, but, I think the jury's still out.
You can't say they're not trying. The Braves are really putting their foot on the gas pedal.
And well, that's true. And I did need to ask this question because I do feel that it's relevant.
Okay.
How many wins do you think Bartolo Colon is going to have in Atlanta?
Oh, boy. Huh. Well, wait, how many wins did he have last season is my question.
He was above 500.
He was above 500. Let's see. He was 15-8.
Yes, he was 15-8? Oh, okay.
15-8. Before I answer that question, if you want my opinion on the Braves, you know what this is really reminding me of?
What?
The Marlins in 2012. They're making all these big-name signings, but you just get this feeling. Something's going to happen. Something's going to go awry.
I wish I could say you were wrong, but you're probably right.
Something's going to go awry. This is going to be the first season under their new manager, Brian. How do you pronounce his last name? I've never pronounced his last name. Snicker?
What? I didn't even know what his name was. Hold on.
Snitker.
Snicker, I think.
Snicker? Well, however you pronounce it, he's the new manager. He was an interim manager last season. Freddie Gonzalez got fired midway through or early on?
Yeah, it was about midway through. I think after the All-Star break.
Actually, no, it was in May. Oh, my God. Freddie Gonzalez got fired that long ago?
And I like the guy. I did.
Yeah, but it's always been Freddie Gonzalez, maybe Bobby Cox, too, because, late 90s was when I got the game of baseball in me, so, of course, Bobby Cox was around.
Oh, God, I could just imagine he's sitting on a farm somewhere in a big old chair watching sorghum grow.
I mean,
He's a straw in his mouth and suspenders.
Snicker, or Sniker, however you pronounce it, he didn't do too bad taking over the interim. 59-65. I mean, with the Braves team last season, I don't know how much more you can really do.
Yeah, he kind of. I wouldn't say he spun shit into gold, but he spun shit into bronze at least.
He should get the Bart Simpson "At least you tried" cake.
Yeah, that seems appropriate.
He tried. But yeah, there's our little thing on the Braves. Who else made the big offseason moves? I mean, the Nationals, they were a little busy in the offseason as well. They signed, outfielder Chris Heisey. They signed right-handed pitcher Derek Idle, Corbett Joseph. They got Derek Norris from the Padres in a trade. They signed Steven Drew. Oh my God! No! Why would you sign Steven Drew?
Are you trying to fail? Are you trying? Because if you're trying, you're succeeding. If you're making us get that visceral reaction just by hearing the name, then you're doing something right.
I mean, I love the Nationals so much, but it's like I hear the name Steven Drew and it's like triggered. I'm triggered.
I start getting night sweats. I do, and it's the daytime, and I start getting night sweats.
I remember when I did my radio show in undergrad, I would always call him Mr. 150.
Oh, that's good. I'm going to use that.
Mr. 150.
I wish you told me that when he was still a Yankee. I wish we knew each other when he was still a Yankee. I would have been doing that all the time.
Mr. 150, Steven Drew.
And I'm sure he's a nice guy. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's a nice guy, but Jesus H. Christ. Oh. It got ugly there for a second.
In terms of more old school, they signed right-handed pitchers Matt Albers and Joe Nathan to minor league deals with invitations to spring training. Joe Nathan to a minor league deal.
Boy. See, this kind of feeds into the central question that I was going to ask.
Okay.
When are the Nationals going to be the team that everybody seems to be saying that they are every spring training? Oh, they're going to win the division, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's finally their year, and it never is.
I mean, I'm biased, remember that. Because if I had to pick an NL team, the Nationals are my guys. But
so they're your NL team. So give me a bit of a fan's perspective.
I mean, it's not like the talent isn't there. That's the thing. So what it is, I have no idea. You have Bryce Harper. I mean, you make the signings for, like, Derek Norris and Adam Eaton, fine. Why the hell are you signing Steven Drew?
Maybe he lost a bet. We don't know.
Maybe. I mean, as I was going to explain, I'm looking at, like, the rest of the NL East. The Mets made a couple of moves, but really, like, the Phillies and the Marlins. The Marlins, we're hearing the owners trying to sell. But those two teams, have you really heard any, names or any off-season news coming from Philadelphia or Miami?
Not really.
Those two, I'm sorry, I don't really want to do quick, analyses of the Phillies and the Marlins, but those two teams really have done jack. this offseason.
The Phillies, in fairness, they did get Clay Buchholz. So
okay, one. They got one.
And they do have a lot of young talent. But in terms of the Nats, it's like the talent is there, but what is the thing that's actually going to make this team stick like glue? And
what's your opinion?
God knows, as a Yankee fan, I am counting down the days until Bryce Harper hits free agency.
When Bryce Harper hits free agency, I don't want to be the Nationals.
Because I want the Yankees to stick to him, if you'll excuse the expression, like shit on Velcro.
Same here. That's also because I'm a big Bryce Harper fan, so seeing him on the Yankees would be incredible.
Majestic, actually.
Yeah, majestic. I mean, do I think the Nationals still have the ability to win the NL East? Absolutely. Because, as I was saying, Phillies, they're a young team. They'll probably do better than they did last season, but I still give no shot. Marlins, I give no shot.
Unfortunately.
Well, the Marlins, they can thank their little owner drama right now. Do you think that deal's ever going to happen?
Maybe, maybe not. Besides, it's just one asshole getting richer, so really, who cares?
Okay, fair enough. Let's see. The Braves, like I said, I think the Braves could be the favorite this season based on their moves, but I don't know. And maybe part of it is my bias as a Nats fan, but maybe it's like I just get this feeling something's going to happen, and it's not going to end well for the Braves.
My, you are a pessimist.
I don't know, but it's like, one of those. It's like one of those teams where it's like they do a number of big signings, and then one of them is going to go down with a really bad injury and is done for the season.
Yeah,
it's. I got this like ominous feeling. Like I don't have that with the Mets or the Nats. But the Braves, it's like there's this little dark cloud that seems to want to creep in beyond all the white normal clouds.
It's a good way to put it.
I mean, the Nats, I think, have the ability to either win the division or get a wild card. I think the same with the Braves. The Mets, we never went over the Mets, a couple of signings that they had.
Yes.
They had Neil Walker. They were able to tender him, accepted a qualifying offer of $17.2 million. They re-signed. What?
Why?
I don't know. And they re-signed Yoenis Cespedes, $110 million in 4 years, the second biggest free agent signing in New York Mets history.
And, oh, boy, he better get used to people booing him if he doesn't hit a home run every time out.
Yeah, I mean that's a risk on both Cespedes and the Mets' part. I mean, for the Mets, this is you're putting all your money behind Cespedes. And, I mean, Cespedes in the last couple of years has done well, but it's like, when is that point going to come? Because it's always in, like, the late 20s, early 30s range where it's like something happens. And then
you do have that ominous outlook about the Mets a little bit.
Well, a little bit. Maybe it's also we're Yankees fans.
Yeah. So we will take any
shots at them as possible.
Yeah. Any opportunity to be the bearer of bad news, but still.
But I'm actually a little high on Cespedes, though. I feel like this might pay off for the Mets.
When was the last free agent signing for the Mets that actually did pan out the way it was supposed to?
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just saying.
But I mean, it's not like the Mets don't have talent. I mean, they've made playoffs the last 2 years. They made the World Series in 2015. Last year, they probably could have gone further, but of course, in an even year, and the San Francisco Giants are in the playoffs.
Some gypsy somewhere, or some witch doctor must have put some kind of curse on them. They must have sacrificed so many chickens to make that happen.
To make the Mets loser for the Giants to be in every single time it's an even year.
Both. Somebody in San Francisco, search houses in the suburban San Francisco area. You will see dead goats and pentagrams everywhere. There is something else, something magic to make that happen.
I I mean, our friend Julian is not Julian from the Undetermined. Another friend of ours, Julian, is probably so happy because he's a Giants fan.
An obscene Giants fan. He's happy. But, right. But the big question, the burning question around the Mets this year is that Humpty Dumpty, pitching staff going to put itself together? And not Humpty Dumpty in terms of talent, Humpty Dumpty in terms of health, let's say.
Yeah, in terms of not falling apart. I don't know. I mean, the recent reports about, wasn't it like Zach Wheeler? He is feeling a little bit of tenderness in his elbow.
Which causes Mets fans to pretty much reach for the Tums.
Right. I was going to say, I mean, they said he's okay. It's nothing too serious, but it's like, I hear Mets fans, and I think even a couple of MLB Network reporters, it's like, they're holding their collective breath, waiting, like, praying nothing happens.
And, well, I guess maybe you could, maybe I should come up with a new nickname for Matt Harvey. So instead of the Dark Knight, the half rack.
Oh. Anyways, so Nick, I guess do we wanna make a pick as to who we think is gonna succeed?
You know what? Let's throw caution to the wind and make a pick for who's going to come out on top in the NL.
Maybe we can make the change in like 5 weeks once we did finish up the AL East and we go division by division. But as of right now, I have it down to 3 teams in the East. As I said, the Nationals, the Mets, and the Braves. And realistically, in absolute honesty, I could see it where one of them wins the division and the other 2 take the wild cards.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean,
so you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go maybe a little biased because of the Nationals fan, but since they seem to, win at the NL East the last few years, I'm going to go with the Nationals winning the NL East, maybe by a couple of games. Mets as the first wild card in the NL. Braves as the second wild card. They just sneak in ahead of maybe like, I don't know, the Giants.
Yeah. Well, I will have to go and pick the Mets to win the NL East.
I can respect that.
With the Nats as the first wild card, Braves as the second wild card.
Okay, those are like the 2 things. Your prediction, my prediction are like the 2 things that were going back and forth in my head. But it's like, I guess since I'm a Nats fan, I'm going to root for the Nats, of course.
Of course, understand though that my pick comes with a significant disclaimer in regards to backpedaling. So I could, in fact, eat my words and then go back on it and say that I knew it all along because I'm a dick.
Well, let's see what happens after spring training. I think that's a thing too. We're making these picks in February before spring training even happens. Spring training is just starting up.
So we need to see what's what before we do anything.
Hey, Nick, let's play some circus music. Can you hear it from my phone?
Yes.
Well, you are listening to the Unspoken Podcast for the Undetermined Podcast Network. It's time to go to the circus that is the New York Knicks.
Oh, yes. Bring out your peanuts and your elephants. Holy shit. Is it a bad one?
Well, they've made some progress, apparently.
We're going to have to dress up like clowns every time we do Knicks. I know you won't be able to see us, but we should at least talk like clowns. Hey, the Knicks just did something stupid. Honk, honk.
Well, you know what's funny? I think I told you this years ago. Like, it would always be for Yankees and A-Rod drama I would have the circus music for. Now it's for the Knicks.
Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious.
So, for those of you who have been sleeping under a rock for the past week,
I envy you.
Right. As our podcast was going up last week, Mr. Charles Oakley was banished from Madison Square Garden by James Dolan. But it appears now that has been resolved.
Yes, the lifetime ban is indeed over due to some kind of face-to-face meeting between Charles Oakley and owner Jim Dolan, and
with assistance from, I believe, Commissioner Adam Silver and the legend Michael Jordan. That's what I've heard.
Wouldn't be the first time Jordan's rode in on a white horse and done that, but...
Hell, that's why I love Jordan.
Yeah, but oh, God, this is just so fucking stupid. Oh,
I know. You know what's funny? I think we were talking about this in the Plenty of the podcast. If something were to have happened, I was almost ready to renounce my Knicks fanship today. But it was like, no, you know what it was? It was like, so we read these reports on, I believe it was Monday they first came up about how there possibly could be a meeting. But in the same report that I was reading from the Score, it also mentioned one Reverend Al Sharpton.
Yes, indeed. You did mention that.
It said that if something were to, like they were planning, I guess, if these meetings fell through, that he and his little group were going to protest outside of Madison Square Garden.
Which, aren't there more important things to be protesting about in this country than Charles Oakley?
I mean, say what you want about Reverend Al Sharpton. There's a fine line. There's the problems that are going on in this country. There's all the issues that are going on, whether you take one side of it or not. And then there's petty shit like this.
Yeah, and really that's the only word you can use to describe something like this. Petty. Petty.
I mean, there's quite a lot of cases where I find Reverend Al Sharpton petty enough. This is even more petty if he were going to do that.
It is. It might actually break a record.
This is like the most petty, but thankfully it didn't happen. But still, petty.
But you're still seeing the media. You're still seeing this war of words go on between Oakley and the players.
I was going to get to that because they are still far apart on. Do you just want me to read what it says on here?
Go ahead, read what it says. I guarantee you, what you say will not be funnier than what's actually in there.
Probably not. All right, Nick. Here we go.
Go ahead.
Oakley rather insists Silver tricked him into participating in the peacemaking session with Dolan, with Michael Jordan helping to mediate, for the sake of sweeping the ugly incident and messy fallout at Madison Square Garden last week under the rug. They tried to tell me, let's get some understanding around this, Oakley told the undefeated Mike Weiss. I told them in the meeting, my understanding is it might be 3, 4, 5 years before I come to a conclusion how I feel about going back into the Garden.
Can't they both be at fault here? It's like, Jesus Christ, this is going on longer than it should.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we?
Oh, no.
Can we just eventually just say we're going to refuse to talk about this any longer? Because now the more I talk about it, I might just renounce my Knicks fanship on this podcast in about a few seconds.
Yeah, although, if this didn't do it, what will?
I mean, I'm not surprised that you're going to see a bunch of Knicks fans say, fuck it. I'm not going to be surprised.
A lot of them have. I listened to the Michael K. show. So a lot of them have been, you know what? I am not staying on this dumpster fire anymore.
How much longer? I think we talked about this last week. I wish they did a vote of confidence in Dolan. He'd lose easily.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't really think that it's support of what Oakley did as it is hatred of Jim Dolan, and they'll jump on any excuse to have that fat imp, with egg on his face, let's say.
I don't know, man. I think I said this last week. If a security guard had to be involved, maybe he did a little something. But to go as far as how far Dolan has gone, to go as far as what Reverend Al Sharpton was going to do, the implication of it being a race thing, no, it's not. This is just some petty bullshit that exploded into this diarrhea mess of a situation.
It is, and I certainly wouldn't. Although Jim Dolan is an asshole, and I really don't believe that he is on par with Donald Sterling, let's say. that word is being thrown around by, I think Oakley was the one that, or somebody who was supporting him was saying that Jim Dolan's just as bad as Donald Sterling, which I don't believe that to be the case.
I don't know. I don't know if that's bad as much as he's just a bad owner.
He is, and he might be a micromanaging control freak.
I mean, I remember when Jeremy Lin, they didn't choose to go after Jeremy Lin again after his Linsanity season. Like, there was this song, it was like a parody of somebody that I used to know. It was like some Jeremy that I used to know. And it was like, you know, essentially one of the lyrics in the chorus was talking about how it was no surprise because, you know, James Dolan, you know, won't pay his players. He's, you know, like he's pissed fans off for years before this.
Yeah, and I do believe, honestly, there is a little tinge of racism to that. A tinge. But not the Donald Sterling full-blown, holy shit, you know, Jim Crow era kind of stuff.
Right. I don't know. This has become a mess. This has become such a mess that I'm sorry. I know this is a podcast, but I have no words anymore. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take.
It will probably take Adam Silver stepping in and insisting that Dolan sell the team, which is really, really, really not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Unless if it somehow happens, I will go on Facebook Live on our Facebook page, and I will just say, holy shit, it happened.
We will pretty much dress up in Knicks gear and just dance around.
No, I won't go that far, Nick. You will not be speaking on my behalf with that.
Yeah. Well, still, you gotta wreck my fun, too?
You can do that. I mean, I'll throw my Knicks stuff on. I think I have a Porzingis jersey here.
You're just sad because you can't dance.
Well, I can't dance, that's true.
Well, neither can I, so well, not like it stopped me.
But still, I would. I mean, Porzingis is probably the one thing that's keeping, you know, me somewhat faced with this team.
And that will have its limits because there will be a time if this doesn't turn around where he says, I ain't staying here and trade me the fuck away.
If that happens, I think we talked about...
The one good thing that Phil Jackson did will be wiped from this earth like a plague.
Here's my thing. We were talking about how, like, about weeks ago about the Knicks struggle despite all their talent. Last Sunday or whatever it was, they beat the freaking San Antonio Spurs.
And that was completely out of fucking nowhere. But hey, you know what they say about a broken clock being right twice a day?
I guess, but fuck. How?
You almost did not want them to win that game because no, you're supposed to be bad. Go over in the corner and be bad.
What is this? Is this some Jekyll and Hyde shit that I don't know about?
Like, you're not allowed to show flashes of competence. All right, just go in the corner and suck for the rest of the season.
Well, at this point, it doesn't matter what they do on the court.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. That story has already been written, submitted for publishing, and put out in people's hands.
Well, not that, just that. But, I mean, if we're talking stories on a page, that's on the bottom of that page. On the top is a big picture, a big side split picture. One side is Charles Oakley, and the other is James Dolan. It's gotten that bad.
It really is a metaphor for how things have gone for the Knicks this season, and
I mean, you see on Twitter when I do, like, throughout the NFL playoffs, I did the throw in the towel gif.
Yeah.
On the Unspoken Podcast Twitter, this team might want to throw in its towel. James Dolan and Charles Oakley both might want to throw in towels.
You know what? Go one better. Throw in a bathrobe, too. Throw in a bunch of towels. Just signify that you're along with the rest of us and you're just giving up.
I mean, at this point, what else is there to do for the Knicks?
Hopefully this is the last episode where we'll have to talk about this stuff, folks.
I guarantee you it's not.
But it probably won't be, because we'll probably hear next week that Charles Oakley went up to Jim Dolan, punched him in the face, and then farted on him.
Oh God! If we have to end up talking about this shit next episode, I'm saying screw our Unspoken Podcast intro. I'm just gonna have Nick Morgansen's voice, and then right after that, I'm just gonna follow up with circus music. And we're just gonna end up the show with circus music. We're
going to blast circus music at every point in which we talk about this team.
I should have done. I should have had the circus music on in a loop in the background.
Yeah, there really should be.
And who's the center ring of the circus? In all honesty,
Jim Dolan. Of course.
Is it just him, or is there a circle and it's split in two?
Well, there's a circle, and right next, and the other ring in that circle is Phil Jackson. Because much as we like to dump on Phil Jackson, he's kind of the architect of this team, but still, all the badness of this team emanates.
Will go on his record.
He is the sun in this galaxy of awfulness.
That's true. So I can see it where it's like Phil Jackson is in the center circle. In the near circles, you have Oakley, you have Dolan, Mello, Porzingis, and then the rest of the team is just flying around doing the tricks.
And you know what? In the audience, there are Knicks fans, and they're not giving out popcorn and peanuts. They're bringing out Valium.
Those who do have popcorn and peanuts are throwing at the performers.
Yeah, or they're just mainlining. They're just mainlining whiskey, trying to remember fun.
Anyways, the one positive thing about the Knicks right now is Carmelo Anthony will be playing in the All-Star game. I believe he's replacing Kevin Love, correct?
Yes, who's going to be having arthroscopic knee surgery and down for 6 weeks.
And they're not the only team that's dealing with something where a player's going to be out for 6 weeks. The Chris Carter, this coming across the wire earlier, the Chris Carter deal suddenly now makes sense for the Yankees. Tyler Austin will be out 6 weeks.
Oh, what for?
Broken foot, I believe.
Oh, God. Oh, we'll get to that when we get to the AL East, folks.
Yes. Right now, we need to talk, before we wrap things up, we got to talk to some celebrities here on the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. And because it is NBA All-Star Weekend. But this brought up an interesting topic, and that is, we're talking about this for celebrities at All-Star games, not just the NBA's. I'm talking about all these All-Star game events. I mean, we've already talked about on this podcast how I feel about certain All-Star games. Purple.
Yes. What was that? Here, let me get you a tissue.
Yes, thank you. Purple sucks.
I love it. I love it.
But what I mentioned, what I loved about All-Star breaks in general, are all the little fun things around the All-Star game too. So at the NFL, they finally had the skills challenge, which was amazing. I loved it. The NHL, they have their skills challenge. Now the NBA, you have their skills challenge. You have the 3-point contest, the slam dunk contest, and the celebrity game. Oh, and the Rising Stars Challenge. What is it, like freshmen versus sophomores or something like that?
It is.
But yeah, celebrities at the All-Star Games. Nick, what are your thoughts on celebrities being a part of All-Star Weekend? I mean, I like it, but do you like when they try to go on the field and have a little game of sorts?
See, all my frame of reference for All-Star games usually comes from the baseball All-Star game, which is as stodgy as you can get. And nobody really pays attention to the celebrity softball game that happens with...
I think I'm like the only one in the universe.
It is. I honestly don't mind because, it's supposed to be fun. I mean, it's supposed to be a fun-filled extravaganza celebration of everything that is great about the sport that is played.
That's why I watch it though. Like it's right after the home run derby, so you already got some good baseball momentum going in you, and it's just a nice way, to end the night on baseball. Like it's a night that's 100% baseball without any teams playing.
Yeah, and it's possible. I don't understand why people would care enough about that kind of stuff to say no celebrities at the All-Star game. It's like, come on.
Right. It's not like I don't love it to the point of like, it's amazing, but at the same time, it's like, it's a fun little thing that happens, and, at this point, it's celebrating all that baseball is. It's celebrating the fun of the game, and that's really all it's about, really, the fun of the game.
And that's what I think Adam Silver, or that's what they've done with the NBA All-Star Game.
I mean, as I was going to say, it's not just about the fun of the game, though. It's like you see celebrities, and they're having a good time. Former players, too, coming out and just having a fun little time and just enjoying themselves. And, like, even when you listen to, like, the commentators and stuff, nobody really cares about, the score stuff. They're poking fun at all the old-time players that are trying to play the game. They'll have some celebrities mic'd up and communicating with them. Yeah, exactly. There was that shot at the NHL All-Star Game when they had the celebrities thing. It was like Justin Bieber got rammed into one of the walls. Which was by Chris Pronger, and oh my goodness, was that sweet. It was like a candy. It was like a gift from the heavens just to see that. The good Lord bring his countenance down upon high for all of us unwashed masses. I mean, say what you will about Justin Bieber, or whether you love him, hate him, think he's the devil, just like him, mad you don't care about celebrities. But still, it was like, for my teenage years, he was just around, and he had that high-pitched voice and everything. It's not like how he had the lower-pitched sounding voice now. Like, he had that high-pitched voice with the baby stuff. It was just like, for all those years of my teenhood where he was on the radio, just to see him get rammed right into the walls. Oh, that was amazing. And for my high school years, that was exercising a lot of demons. It's like, but it's like sweet relief. Okay. It is. But, I mean, how can, like we were going to say, like, how can you really hate on celebrities at the All-Star Game? Who are some of your favorite celebrities to see at All-Star Game festivities? For me, I have to say Snoop Dogg. Every time you see Kevin Hart is also a delight. But it's like when you see Kevin Hart or Snoop Dogg at, like, whether it's the MLB Celebrity Softball Game or the NBA All-Star Game, it's like, or even at the NHL game, it's like something's gonna happen. You heard what happened with Snoop Dogg at the last All-Star Game, right? At the NHL. I did, but I cannot remember, unfortunately. He was doing a little concert, I guess, before the game, and I forget which song it was. It must have been the next episode. His little Smoke Weed Everyday song with Dr. Dre. Yeah. And I guess they didn't warn him before that he can't curse because it was being broadcast, so he was dropping F-bombs. Which comes with the territory. I mean, right. You don't hire him and then expect him to say you can't say that. But even then, if you don't warn him, like, that's not on him. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like a stodgy old guy who says, all rap is crap. It's like, I'm not that kind of person. Like I said, I mean, I used to be like that, but honestly, it's part of me just loves the old school hip-hop, the 80s, 90s hip-hop, like Snoop Dogg. Like, Eminem first came around in that time. I used to be a lot more militant about hip-hop than I am now. Absolutely, I can agree. As I've gotten older, I've felt like, there are certain genres of music that I just don't listen to, and that's okay. Right, but then that's okay if other people listen to that. But at the same time, there's other artists in the genre where it's like, these guys are actually pretty good. I mean, you think about the kinds of celebrities they usually hire, or they coerce to come out for these All-Star games. It's usually like today's celebrities. Yeah, I mean they're not gonna be rating the B, C, and D list. No, because you want to present the All-Star festivities in the best light, so you're going to try and get the best. Which is sad, because there are a couple of, like, BC level celebrities I would like to see do stuff at All-Star games, primarily. For me, the Impractical Jokers. Yeah. Why do you keep talking about that show? It's an amazing show! No! It's my favorite show on TV!
Okay, I'll take your word for it, Tom.
You've never seen The Impractical Jokers.
Heard about it? Haven't watched it.
You better watch an episode.
All right. I'll get to it.
You better watch an episode. I think our friend Nick Morganson was the man behind the Undetermined. Like, he liked my status when I was saying I was watching Impractical Jokers, so he probably knows about it and loves it too.
I'm sure. I just never saw it.
You gotta get up on the times, man.
Just don't think any less of me because I don't.
Oh, no, I don't.
You know how many points I've lost with white people saying I've never actually seen Breaking Bad and The Wire?
I mean, I've seen a couple of Breaking Bad episodes, but it was just, casual shit. I want to binge the whole series at some point.
I don't know. I mean, there's just certain things with white people where you're persona non grata if you don't watch a certain show. Come on!
Not as white people. I just think people in general.
Yeah, people. I should add a caveat to that. People in general tend to do that, and I'm a busy person. Busy,
right.
Busy. Busy doing nothing a lot of times, but it's busy work nonetheless.
I was just going to say, I really haven't been watching TV much this week because I've started playing Overwatch.
Oh, yes.
I am addicted to that game. It's amazing.
I so want to play that game. Oh, if I had money to buy it.
I love it. I have it for PS4 right now. I love playing Overwatch. I mean, maybe I'm not the best player, but it's like just being in that atmosphere.
I so want to play that game. Oh, my God.
I think that's a good note to end this podcast on.
Yeah, it is.
All right, that is episode number 8 of the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. Go give our Facebook page a like. Of course, that's the Unspoken Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Unspoken Podcast. I believe if you search at Unspoken Podcast on Facebook, our link should appear too from the Facebook page. And get ready for the Undetermined website.
It's coming, and it will be amazing.
And I'll be bringing you all the sports news going on with that.
And I'll be bringing you the nerd stuff.
All right, so this has been episode number 8 of the Unspoken Podcast, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. For Nick Federa, I am Tom Albano, and we'll see you next week, episode number 9. Tune in next week.
Good night, everybody.